Hello and welcome back to Mason Sports Insider. I am Tyler Byram alongside Dan Ward. This week, the men's soccer team continues to struggle in conference play. The cross-country team and swimming teams get convincing results. And all on the same weekend that we kicked off the basketball season. So it was an exciting week for Mason Athletics this week.
There's certainly a lot of action for the teams as well as Mason Madness, which is our annual pre-game for the basketball season's coming up, and I know that was pretty exciting.
Yeah, every year it's a must-see event for all Patriots and Patriot fans. Here now at the newly named Eagle Bank Arena, sometimes that was the first time that people got to experience the new arena and some new accommodations that are coming on with the program. Things are looking well. Let's kick it off with Mason Madness, the annual event marking the start of both the men's and women's basketball seasons kicked off this past Friday night. During the evening, Mason Nation experienced performances by performers Steve Max, Josh Horton, Urbanology 101, the Mason Cheerleading Squad, the Masonettes, and of course, Doc Nix and the Grain Machine. In the festivities, first-year head coach Dave Paulson introduced himself to the crowd as a fellow Patriot and issued the George Mason Basketball Bill of Rights.
How about the George Mason Basketball Bill of Rights? Number one, the people of this great place shall enjoy a great home game atmosphere, second to none, with Doc Nix and the Green Machine cheer and dance squads. Number two, George Mason University will see student athletes who are engaged on campus and connected to the rest of the student body. Number three, George Mason will notice student athletes who understand their primary mission at the university is academic in nature. Number four, student athletes who take great pride in representing the entire university. Number five, a team that plays with great passion, energy, and focus every time they take the floor. Number six, a team that communicates with each other and has an evident joy in playing the game of basketball. Number seven, a team that plays with great physical and mental toughness, able to overcome any adversity. Number eight, a team that plays with great unselfishness, embraces doing all the little things well. Number nine, a team that strives for improvement every single day. And number 10, the rowdiest, loudest, most passionate student section in the entire country.
This was followed up by a first look at both the new look programs on the court. And Dan, you were actually at Mason Madness, so how'd the team look this year?
I am very excited for the teams coming up this year. They didn't have the inter-squad scrimmage that they usually do, but they did show some warm-ups. The women's team with their new transfers and their new freshman recruits are looking very sharp. Bridget O'Connell and Katrina Hutzel, who had to sit out the season last year, I think they will be two big impact players for the team this year. And the men's team, a lot of new players on the team with 6 freshmen, but nearly all of them putting on an excellent display at the dunk contest that was at Mason Madness. A lot of athleticism on this team, a lot of strength and height on this team. I've got a lot of good hopes and promise for the team. They're looking good. Certainly should be a step up from last season.
Yeah, some things look very encouraging. It's just a whole new look team if you really think about it. Also, I noticed in that clip that we were showing, I actually got to see Marquise Moore smile. That's something that's like never before seen. And in the first year that Dave Paulson's head coach, the first public event really, we see Marquise Moore smile. So that's a good sign.
Yeah, Paulson did mention that Marquise is a very serious player. Sometimes needs to be a little bit more energetic and just laugh a little bit because he takes the game very seriously and he does have a lot of fun. Also, along with Mason Madness and the basketball teams this season, we will be bringing more content for the show as Mason Cable Network has announced that we will officially be broadcasting basketball games on the A10 network. So that is certainly exciting news for the broadcasting team.
Yeah, definitely exciting. It's just showing how Mason Cable Network is growing for the community. We're bringing more content to you, so we're making it more accessible for Mason students to be able to watch it. It's a great thing to be a part of. It's awesome that we can bring that in and that we have more stuff to show you here on Mason Sports Insider. With the new announcement, we also have a new one that will bring you a new feature called the Giant Killer Play of the Week. And this week we will start things off with DeAndre Abram. If you look here off this dunk, and a little bit of style points, if you will, after this dunk that they had in Drills of Mason Madness. Pretty impressive freshman play.
Exactly, just what we were talking about, what I was saying about the team's versatility and athleticism. Abrams right there showing it, and again, the team excited and the fans excited for the start of the season.
Yeah, don't want fans to get a little ahead of their stuff. This is Mason Madness, and there was no defense, but it's encouraging to see that pretty much everyone on the team can hit a dunk.
Exactly. So if nothing else, we'll be an exciting team this year. Make sure you come out November 13th for the home opener against Colgate. So now let's get you updated with what happened in the sports world. We'll begin with the men's soccer team who opened up play last weekend on Wednesday night, where they took on the Dayton Flyers. Dayton came into this game undefeated in conference play, while Mason was still looking for their first conference win of the season. Mason's defense had their work cut out for them, as Dayton leads the conference in nearly every offensive category. Michael Butts got the start in this one in the goal for the Patriots, and he was tested early in the 4th minute, but he did come up with a save. He was tested again in the 12th minute after a penalty by Mason gave the Flyers a free kick from outside the box, and Butts was unable to stop Dayton's Kisima Bojang from slipping one into the net. Mason's offense struggled in this one with their first shot not coming until the 44th minute, thanks to Edgar Zapata, who got the start over the injured Taylor Washington. The lead would stand for Dayton until the 70th minute, when Ryan Harmouche stole the ball from Dayton and delivered a pass to Matt Tugger, who drilled a shot off of the Dayton goalkeeper, and it went into the back of the net for the equalizer. The game went into overtime, where Mason had a chance to win the game, but a header attempt by Daniel Hoffman went just wide of the goal. Butts picked up a couple of key saves in the overtime periods to keep Dayton off the board, and this one would end in a 1-1 tie. The tie moves Mason's record to 0-1-2 in the conference, while Dayton remains unbeaten at 2-0-1. The team went on to the road to take on St. Joseph's on Saturday.
Against the Hawks, Mason was looking for their best chance this far in the season for their first conference victory. For the second game in a row, Michael Butts was in between the pipes for the Patriots. Still recovering from injury, Taylor Washington did not play in this matchup, and Zach Hersek would play from the bench as Gillian Buick got the start. Mason would be the first team to strike in the 34th minute off a throw-in from Jordan Edwards. Yannick Eckerode would time the ball perfectly, heading it past the St. Joseph's goalkeeper to put the team up 1-0. Looking to hold off the attack from the Hawks for a majority of the match, the opponents got a huge opportunity in the 71st minute. Mason would commit a foul inside the box, resulting in a penalty kick for St. Joseph's. Tim Azurka would bury it for the team and tie it up at 1 goal apiece. In the game, there was a total of 30 shots combined between both squads, as neither team could rack up another score, resulting in a tie. This would be the team's third tie in their 4 Atlantic 10 matches. Eckenrode's goal was his second of the year, and Mason would commit their largest amount of fouls in the season, with 29 in the game. With this result, the team is now 0-1-3 in conference play, falling all the way down to 11th place in our GiantKiller.co Atlantic 10 standings, but still only remain 1 point out of making the postseason tournament. So, kick things off in the week with the tie against Dayton. Dayton leading the conference right now, as you saw in the standings, at a 3-0-1 record, but encouraging result there. Would have liked to see that win against St. Joseph's.
Certainly would have liked to see the win against St. Joseph's. Dayton, the tie isn't that bad. As we mentioned, they are one of the better teams. They are expected to go far in the playoffs this season. But the St. Joseph's team, definitely a beatable team, and it's been a continued trend all year long where they're just not scoring enough. 2 goals in 2 games, that's not going to cut it for you, and you're not going to be getting wins with such few goals being scored.
Yeah, if you look at the game so far, I mean, a loss against George Washington, that's a little bit disappointing. But a tie against VCU, tie against Dayton, those are okay results. The ties are okay, especially since you're not getting a loss. But a tie against St. Joseph's, you have to be a little bit disappointed with that if you're a Mason soccer fan. Because you want to hope to get the win, because if we just get a whole bunch of ties the rest of the year, we aren't going to make the postseason tournament. 7 points isn't going to do it. You need to have at least 11, maybe 12. That's probably going to be that last 8th place spot. And to do that, Mason has to get 1, maybe 2 wins. But yeah, just disappointing after St. Joseph's. Even though you saw encouraging things against Dayton, how they were able to come back. I also like how I'm seeing new players are getting involved. Taylor Washington's injury may be a slight blessing in disguise. Because I know for the year, a majority of the players, they've been playing full 90 minutes. You're only seeing a couple substitutions late in each half. But encouraging to see some of the young guys getting in, and encouraging to see other players other than the typical Henning Dirks player, Matt Tucker, getting the same goals each game.
Right. It was nice to see Harmouche, Buick, Zapata all step up big in there to take over some roles, and it should help them out in the future conference play. And no points is worse than some points. At least we are getting some points with these ties. But you're right. We got to get those wins, Mason. But now let's take a look at the women's soccer team, who look to continue their hot start to conference play against the Duquesne Dukes last Thursday. Mason had a few good opportunities in the first half, where they had 5 corner kicks, but could not capitalize on anything. The Dukes broke the scoreless tie in the 40th minute after an intercepted goal kick off of Kirsten Glad led to an easy tap-in goal from Aaliyah Fabian. That would be all Duquesne needed, as their defense really stepped up in this one to shut down Mason's attackers. Duquesne outshot the Patriots 21-9, and head coach Todd Bramble admitted after the game that Duquesne was simply the better team in this one.
On Sunday, the team would take on the Davidson Wildcats, looking to rebound from loss against the Dukes. The Patriots start the scoring in the match with Erin Mitchell scoring her 2nd goal of the year, sending the ball into the top corner of the net. The Green and Gold would continue to have chances for the remainder of the match thanks to Nia Elbeck and Albie Downey, who were unable to finish on their shots. In the 75th minute, the Wildcats would tie the game up after a rocket of a shot by Mia Hodges, looking to send the game into overtime. However, with 2 minutes left to play in regulation, Nia Elbeck dribbled past 2 defenders and sent a crossing shot that hit the far corner of the goal, giving George Mason the 2-1 victory. On the year, the Patriots are 8-6, 4-2 in conference play with only 4 matches remaining on the season. Looking at the GiantKiller.co Atlantic 10 standings, 2 wins this week would basically guarantee the team a spot in the Atlantic 10 postseason. So while the men's team is struggling, the women's team still encouraging results. Maybe we didn't expect this at the beginning of the year, but now this is very encouraging to see. Right now they're sitting in 4th. Good signs for the team.
Without a doubt, we have not given them enough credit. I think up to this point, they really are the best team on campus right now. 4-2 in the conference, picking up another win this week. A tough loss against Duquesne. I was able to watch some of that game online, and Duquesne really just brought it to them. I agreed with Todd Bramble. They just were ready for the matchup against the Patriots. Other teams are recognizing that we are one of the better teams in the conference this season. So Duquesne was out and ready to play us, and they just got us on an off day that day, but still good rebound later in the week, coming up with the win. And as you mentioned, if we can pick up a couple wins this week, I like our chances.
Yeah, it will be tough, however. I believe we're playing VCU and George Washington this week. Those are the 1st and 2nd place teams in the conference, so it will be tough, but it's time for the Patriots to prove that they belong. Maybe pick up a win, a tie at the very least, but if looking good, almost a guarantee to make the postseason tournament where things are going. And Mason can keep it going. Don't want to get a little complacent, but I don't think that's going to happen with this team.
Moving on to the men's cross-country team, who participated in the Wake Forest Invitational this weekend. Thanks to 2 top 5 finishes from Stephen Flynn and Stuart Lamping-Crowell, the team bested 17 other teams to take home the 1st place finish. Flynn finished with the 3rd best overall time in the 8-kilometer race with a time of 24 minutes and 50 seconds, and Lamping-Crowell finished 4th with a time of 24 minutes and 58 seconds. This is Mason's 3rd consecutive 1st place finish this season, despite not having any other runners finish in the top 25. Coach Andrew Gerard said, quote, "We are happy, but know we've got more in the tank." The team will have 2 weeks of training in preparation for the A-10 championships on October 31st.
Competing in the same competition, the women's cross-country team shocked some Southeastern region opponents in the 6-kilometer race, nabbing the 8th place finish out of 18 schools. Leading the pack was freshman Sierra Donahue, placing 21st overall out of the 173 runners. The team's other top runners from last season, Bailey Kalanic and Jennifer Nakamura, placed 29th and 35th respectively. Also competing in the Wake Forest Invitational was A-10 rivals the Richmond Spiders, who won the competition by putting all of their top 5 runners in the top 20 placement. Coming into the season, the Spiders are expected to finish 3rd in the conference championships, while Mason was selected down in 7th place. With 2 weeks to prepare, next week we have a special edition of Mason Sports Insider where we will give you a preview of the first Atlantic 10 championships on the 2015-2016 school year, so you won't want to miss that.
Next, we have the women's volleyball team, who looked to battle back into the A-10 with a couple of away matches last week. First on the schedule were the Duquesne Dukes. This match consisted of numerous back-and-forth action with every set being close. The first set began with a Mason lead at 8-4, but a momentum shift saw the Dukes take a 5-point lead in the set and win the first 25-21. Similar things happened in the second, but this time it was Mason coming away with the 25-21 win. After a fairly dominating third set win by the Dukes, Mason won the most competitive set in the match, being the fourth, leading to that tie-breaking fifth set. Mason was down 4 before coming back to narrow the Dukes' lead to 10-9, but then a 5-1 run secured the Dukes' victory in this one. Morgan Martin led the Patriots with 18 kills, and Caitlin Hipscher had a great game with 45 assists. Duquesne's Mary Henry set a single-match record with 53 assists in this match. Mason's record fell to 1-5 in conference play as they headed to LaSalle for a must-win match to keep their playoff hopes alive.
The team had to know the stakes of the match because the team came out hot, winning the first set against the Explorers for their 6th first set victory of the season. In that set, the team went on a 9-2 scoring run at one point. Then when LaSalle tied the score late, Meredith Bush recorded 2 of her total 8 kills in the final moments, putting the green and gold on top 25-22. In the second, LaSalle won in a similar fashion that their opponents did in the first, also going on a 9-2 run and winning the set 25-18. In the third, Mason controlled the set from the beginning to end, not relinquishing the lead and winning 25-20. In the fourth, however, LaSalle took a quick 6-0 lead, looking to take it to 5 sets, and the lead would grow from there as it went from 10-3. However, 5 straight points put up by Mason will pull the team up close and make it a competitive set from here on out. Late in the set, Mason would pull out the victory in the match by a score of 3-1 over the Explorers. Seniors Morgan Martin and Lola Walkneron had 13 and 10 kills respectively. Martin would also record 9 digs, trailing teammate Jelena Kopanovic, who had 13. Moving on to the GK Atlantic 10 standings, this was the Patriots' second conference victory of the season, putting the team in a tie for 7th place. So you're looking at the standings, Dayton always seems to be at the top in each sport. They're 6-0 now. St. Louis finally got their first loss. But Mason right now, they're tied for 7th place. Not too far, but you're starting to see that gap in between 6th and 7th sort of grow. Remember, unlike soccer and women's volleyball, only the top 6 make it into the tournament. So women's volleyball team, they have some catching up to do at this point.
Definitely, but it was an encouraging win. We like seeing how the seniors stepped up in that game. Morgan Martin and Meredith Bush even having a great game for the team, showing that senior presence is going to be key if they do want to make this late season run into that 6th spot into the playoffs.
Yeah, along with what you're saying, that is what the team is going to need. You're going to need that momentum that the team put forward. And sometimes teams need that. Sometimes the seniors need to be like, okay, I understand you guys have a great season, but it's do or die time right now. And that's what it is for the women's volleyball team. They have to get some victories. They have to rack some together. And what's been going on thus far hasn't really been working for the team. So the seniors, they have to dig in deep. They have to find something, because for the seniors, it's their last year. So that's also
go all out or don't go at all, because like you said, last season, so they're trying to put it all out on the table and get that momentum that you'll need. And if they can build enough momentum and just sneak into that 6th spot, that momentum will carry into the playoffs and really give them a good chance at pushing deep into the A-10 tournament.
Moving on to the men's swimming and diving team this weekend, who traveled to Richmond, where they would face the Davidson Wildcats. I don't know if that exactly makes sense, going to Richmond to play Davidson. However, this was in the Richmond duels. In this duel, the Patriot would win in convincing fashion. Mason's Matthew Lynch earned a first-place finish in the 100-yard butterfly, and divers Paul Hefgott and Trevor Long earned points for the first and second finishes respectively in that span. In the butterfly, Jesse Burnley and Tom Malone finished 1-2, and Stephen Craig and Brandon Nestor claimed the top 2 finishers in the 400-yard IM. And the team of Morin, Dietrich, Jacobson, and Burnley also won the relay.
The women's swimming and diving team finished day 2 of the Richmond duels on top as well. After losing to Richmond the first day, they bounced back in day 2, beginning with a first and second place finish in the 1650-yard freestyle by Aaron Schultz and Megan DeJong respectively. Sid Fisher added 2 more wins to her resume by winning the 50 and 100-yard freestyle, as did Steph Moore with wins in the 200-yard freestyle and 200-yard backstroke. Kylie Moore won 2 diving events to help solidify the win for the Patriots. They will have a one-day event this Saturday against the University of Delaware. So good job by the swimming and diving teams, both coming out and showing what they got this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it was encouraging. It was kind of weird if you were trying to follow it at home. I was confused until the final results came up. But yeah, encouraging results for the men's team. Good for them to get the win. Women went 1-2. 1-1, excuse me. But good signs. Still very, very early on in the season. again, swimming, diving, one of those weird sports, kind of like cross country, how you don't really play all of your conference opponents before tournament starts, but good solid start.
Exactly. Good solid start is right. Well, that will wrap up this week's edition of Mason Sports Insider. Here is a look at this week's upcoming schedule.
If you look at what we have, men's soccer team, they'll kick things off as 2 Wednesday matches in a row as they will face Duquesne this Wednesday. That's a must-win matchup. I mean, Duquesne, they aren't one of the top teams in the conference. They got to go out. They got to get that victory right there.
Yeah, there's no other way around it. A lot of home games this week. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You guys will have a chance to check things out. Women's soccer, that big matchup that you mentioned against VCU, Thursday at 7 o'clock.
Yep, and then on Friday, the women's volleyball team will also host Fordham. Fordham, a team right in the middle like Mason is at. This is a game that Mason needs to go out and improve. If Mason isn't going to win this game, then they most likely are not going to be able to make that final push to the postseason because Fordham is a beatable team.
Certainly with must-win games coming up. Swimming and diving team, not a must-win as they take on Delaware Saturday at 1, continuing their hot stretch to the start of the season. With the women's volleyball team, again, taking on Rhode Island at 7, hopefully coming off of a win from Friday.
Yep, and then on Saturday, the men's soccer team will travel to Fordham. Again, for the men's team, this is a game you got to win. Even though Fordham is near the top of the standings, it's a game that Mason doesn't necessarily have to win, but with the season, how they're going right now, a win would surely be nice against a team like that. And then, like I also said earlier, women's soccer team will be facing George Washington, so a tough weekend for the women's soccer team. VCU, George Washington, both in the same week. They have to play 2 teams that are above them in the conference standings, so it's going to be interesting for them this week.
A couple of must-wins for the men's soccer team, a couple of must-wins for the women's volleyball team, and time for the women's soccer team to prove us right and say that they are for real this season.
Yep, we will see after this weekend. But that will do it for this week's edition of Mason Sports Insider. As always, thank you for tuning in and staying with us for the remainder of the show. We'd also like to thank our sponsors, GiantKiller.co. Make sure you check them out at GiantKiller.co as one of the premier blog websites for everything you need to know in Mason Athletics. If you'd like to follow us on Twitter, of course, there's at @TheTylerByram and at @DManWard. Until next time, I am Tyler Byram alongside Dan Ward, and we will see you guys next time.